Dear students, welcome to the 7th online lecture of Clinical Pharmacy. This is your course lecturer, Yasser Abbasi. In previous lecture we introduced different types of literature and discussed in detail about tertiary literature. Our main objective of these lectures is to learn about literature evaluation. Before we actually start to learn how to evaluate clinical literature, we need to gain knowledge about different types of literature. In our previous lecture we studied tertiary literature and briefly viewed about how we can evaluate the type of literature. Today, we will study secondary literature or secondary sources of references. Can you recall why do we need clinical literature? Let me briefly revise that pharmacists are relied upon to answer drug information requests for patients and healthcare professionals. In addition, the pharmacist is expected to provide the response in an efficient and timely manner. Therefore, the ability to systematically process the request and efficiently search the literature is necessary to provide an appropriate response. Different types of literature sources supply information needed to answer the drug information request. These sources include tertiary, secondary, and primary literatures. However, the request should be clarified and classified before the search can be initiated. The classification of the request, for example, adverse drug reaction, drug interaction, drug therapy, will guide the user to specific resources. Primary literature means original works, secondary literature refers to indexing and abstracting services, tertiary literature means textbooks and review articles. The secondary literature is characterized as indexing and abstracting services that can be used to systematically locate various types of published literature, for example, review articles, clinical studies. The indexing system provides bibliographic information indexed by topic. In addition, the abstracting system allows the user to view a brief description of the information, that is, abstract, within most citations without locating the original article. As we have seen a brief introduction of secondary sources of information, you might be wondering about indexing, bibliography, and abstracting. You might also ask what is an abstract? Before further discussion on secondary sources, let's understand these terms. In order to construct an example for understanding the indexing, I have taken some names from your class, probably these are of morning class. These are just for an example. Now let's say there are total 20 students in my class. I have made an address index for these students. I asked the students to index themselves in address index provided they meet some criteria. Now suppose that out of total 20 students there were 3 students who could not index themselves in the indexing service. Either they were not willing, or they did not meet the criteria for this indexing service. These students are highlighted with yellow color for your reference. My indexing service has now indexed 17 students from different residential areas. Table 1 is raw data. Raw data in this case is primary literature. Table 2 is list of indexed students. Indexed students are secondary source or secondary literature. If I need to know that how many students are currently living in Nasimabad, and I refer to primary literature, I would need to see address of each and every students to find all the students who are currently living in Nasimabad. Alternatively, I can refer to secondary source, that is, table 2, or indexed list, and I will find out all such students with single query. I hope this should have given you a clear picture about indexing. Let's now see some real examples of indexes. However, please remember the example of students, we might use it in upcoming slides. The indexation of a journal is considered a reflection of its quality. Indexed journals are considered to be of higher scientific quality as compared to non-indexed journals. The ISI server provides indexing of major international journals and proceedings. Author can get information about international journal impact factor, and research papers. Now let's say we want to get a list of journals on the subject of management, which are indexed in ISI. As I have mentioned that indexation of a journal in ISI and other indexes reflect the quality of journal. What is a quality of a journal? We should discuss separately sometime later. For this moment just consider a good quality or bad quality just like any other thing in your daily life. Upon search we find that it has 308 journals indexed on the topic of management. This service provides us the name of that journal, the identification numbers like ISSN, the name of the publisher and if it also indexes the articles from a given journal or not. Similarly, if we search for articles on atopic dermatitis it gives us 5 entries. That include many details which you can see in this slide, but it does not tell us that when these articles were published. You should have also noticed that the number of search items for atopic dermatitis is very low, that is, only 5 entries. Why is it like that? Did something click in your mind? Because it is mainly journal index, not an article index. Google Scholar is another example of indexing service. Google Scholar provides a simple way to broadly search for scholarly literature. With the same search term, it gives us a huge number of articles. And it provides us much detail about these articles like title or article and journal, name of authors and name of publishers, and the year the article or book was published. If you compare the number of articles from Google Scholar and ISI, you must have noticed that Google Scholar had given results in millions as compared to just 5 results from ISI. At this stage, can you tell why there is such a big difference? Because Google Scholar indexes almost every journal. The ISI has more strict quality criteria than Google Scholar. Therefore, the number of indexed journals is less in ISI as compared to Google Scholar. The other reason is that Google Scholar searched the term atopic dermatitis from every journal without distinction of the subjects such as pharmacy, pharmacotherapy, medicines, pharmacology, etc. For example, if an article which was written on aerospace technology and somehow this article used the term atopic dermatitis anywhere in the article, the Google Scholar could have brought us that article as well. Is it possible for us to screen and go through such a big number? Of course not. Then how can we obtain useful results? Keep these questions noted in your notebook. We would see it later in our course of study. For now, this is an introduction to indexing services. Notice that there is a slight introduction given against each article in the list of Google Scholar results. This is called abstract. We will discuss abstract in detail in next slides. If you read this few lines given for each article, you can see that first article is about the prevalence of atopic dermatitis, the second article presents a case of 10-year-old girl who was suffering from atopic dermatitis. This article should tell what the sign and symptoms in this little girl were and how these were managed in her case. Similarly, the third article gives a view that it is about new information on pathology of atopic dermatitis. Whereas the next article might be discussing some factors like environmental factor which are associated with atopic dermatitis. This information is called abstract. Now let's see what is abstracting and abstract. The abstract serves as a summary of the article and typically is 250 words in length or less. The purpose of an abstract is to provide the reader with enough information to decide if it is worthwhile to retrieve the entire article. Although the abstract is a quick way to learn what a study is about, it does not substitute for reading the entire article. The abstract should cover the purpose of the study, study design, methods, results, and conclusion. Abstracts often are written by the author and, therefore, can be subject to bias. Because of space limitations for the abstracts, the methods of the study cannot be discussed adequately, and flaws cannot be detected. Now that you have had an introduction of abstract, you can understand the concept of abstracting. That is, a service that indexes the abstracts of research articles is termed as indexing service. Now let's see an example. Remember the example of Pharm from our lecture on tertiary literature. And we viewed an example of a review article. Pharm is another example of indexing and abstracting services. Today we will open 14th result after searching atopic dermatitis in Pharm. You can see that this is a recent article published in 2019. You should also notice that here only a summary of article has been given. The underlined text with blue indicated the objective of this study. This abstract tells that the study was conducted on 30 patients of atopic dermatitis for a period of 8 weeks. The participants of this study wear pure silk clothing for the whole day without any additional medication and were investigated using the ad-related questionnaires. This is methodology that how this study was conducted. The is underlined with red color. The results are underlined with green color, which shows that silk clothing treatment promotes good skin appearance, comfort, and remarkable improvement in the quality of life of AD patients. The conclusion is underlined with yellow color. It says that after this study we can conclude that silk fiber treatment can control severity of atopic dermatitis. Now you can understand that why indexing and abstracting services are called databases. Here is a complete list of biomedical databases. There are various other databases, for example, for engineering, nursing, agriculture, etc. These are just for reference and you do not need to memorize this list. However, you are supposed to know about usually accessed databases for pharmacy. For example, PubMed and Google Scholar. Also note that all of these databases are not free to access. A bibliography is a list of works on a subject or by an author that were used or consulted to write a research paper, book or article. It can also be referred to as a list of works cited. It is usually found at the end of a book, article or research paper. You must have seen bibliography in various books that you have studied. For example, Remington Essentials of Pharmaceutics provides bibliography at end of every chapter. Similar information can be obtained through various secondary sources. The secondary literature is characterized as indexing and abstracting services that can be used to systematically locate various types of published literature. The indexing system provides bibliographic information indexed by topic. In addition, the abstracting system allows the user to view a brief description of the information within most citations without locating the original article. Since the scope of the indexing and abstracting service varies, the systems do not index the same journals. However, duplication and overlap of references may occur between the systems. This is the end of this lecture. The soft copy of these slides are available on HULMS. You can also download this video from Google Drive. If you got any query, send it to the given email. Thank you.